here. I'm going to show you, I will show you from the website how you can also get this from the website, but I'd like to have this in front of you. One of them has, when you look at it, it'll have population numbers in each of areas of the map. So, for example, you'll know you're looking at the right map if it says Public Participation Kit, and then you look at the very upper right-hand quadrant of the city, and it will say 1322. And that denotes the number of people living in that particular section. That's defined by a population unit. And I'd like to explain what a population unit is. What we've done is we've taken a grouping of census blocks and drawn them into population units. So they're just a larger chunk of census blocks. It's important that I mention census blocks because the law and the courts recognize census blocks as being the accurate population count according to the federal census. So we've done them in large chunks, these population units, because if we were to print a map with every tiny census block on there, it would be too difficult to read. So if you don't like the way we've grouped a population unit, we can divide a population unit just as long as we keep the census blocks together. I often get asked the question, what is a census block? And it's very similar to a street block. So if we had a perfect square city with perfect square blocks, a census block would be about the same size as what you would consider a neighborhood block. So if you're looking at these population units, you don't like where we drew the lines for the population units, then just simply write on your map that you would like your line to follow a particular street. And typically the census blocks are done by streets. I say typically because sometimes the federal census draws strange census block lines. So if we go through the toolkit, the interactive map viewer today, I'll show you how you can actually view census blocks and how they're drawn. Okay? We've looked at this map. There's a second map that looks very similar to it, but instead of having population counts listed on it, it's numbered consecutively, 1 through, I believe it's 60. If you picked up the laminated, one of these laminated ones, do we have enough laminated ones to share? Or there should be paper ones as well. In the upper right-hand corner, where we looked, and before it said a population number, in this case, it says number 1. So that you can get this in paper form or in laminated form. And it says number 1 in the upper right-hand corner. That means we've identified that population unit as being population unit number 1. And that's going to be important as we get into the tools. So I'm just going to quickly explain the process, and then we'll navigate it through it on the computer so you can see how to do it. So your very first approach to drawing a map would be to use the population, the map that has the population counts, and simply draw lines of what you think makes sense for your neighbors, for your neighborhoods, and draw 6 different segments out of this map. When you look at this map, you'll see that your goal is to have 19,324 people into one district. So try for that target amount. It doesn't have to be exact, but it has to be pretty darn close. So there can be no difference of 10% between the least populated district and your greatest populated district. So you'll want to get as close to the 19,324. So what you would do is you would just in your head or on a scratch paper or on a calculator as you're drawing your district, see how close you're coming to that 19,000. Once you draw your districts and you have the shape of your districts, that is when this map will be useful for you. And what the city staff has done is they've laminated it for you so you can actually transfer the lines of your map onto this map that has the district numbers ID'd numerically. And the reason why that's going to be useful for you is because you're going to, if you are comfortable with Excel, you don't need to do this part. You can just simply stick to the calculator and do the math, with a calculator or whatever source you want to use. But if you'd like to use the Excel spreadsheet, then you would draw your map on here and we'd open up an Excel spreadsheet and say, for example, you've drawn this upper area into one district and say they're numbered roughly 1 through 30. Then you'll go into the Excel spreadsheet and you'll say that the population units that are numbered 1 through 30, I've assigned to my district number 1. And the beautiful thing about that is it does all the math for you. Okay? But it does more than math. It also gives you some important information. One of those pieces of information is your percentage of citizen voting age population for your protected class groups. So it would show how well you are doing at keeping, say, Latino neighborhoods together. So if you have a Latino neighborhood that is heavily concentrated and it's drawn into one district, you would have a higher percentage of the citizen voting age population for that particular district. So for example, if your District 2 was where you believe the concentrated area is of your Latino neighborhood, then that percentage would be higher than your other districts 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Same with your Asian population. You should know that the Filipino population is grouped with the Asian population. So it's all, it is grouped under the category of Asian Americans. I think at this point it's useful to navigate through the website so you can see how to get to that. And then we'll get into looking at that Excel spreadsheet just so you can see what it looks like. And also, we're going to go into an interactive map viewer that allows you, it works very much like Google Maps, where you can zoom in very closely to streets and zoom out. And it has not only the population units, it also has the smaller map of the census blocks, so that I think you will find interesting. So once you're on the city's home web page, you'll see that this, the news feed, one of those will be districts, and you can simply click on read more once it comes up. If you miss that, you can go to City Hall and navigate to City Clerk. So go ahead and do that. Either hit on the news feed that says district elections or click on City Hall and then over to City Clerk and click on City Clerk. Is everyone with me? Okay. Whenever you see, and I'm pointing with my cursor up on the screen up here, whenever you see a stack like this, it's an indicator there's more information behind there. That's universal for most every website. So if you click on this City Clerk, because it's telling me there's a more menu, I'm going to click on it, and then scroll down. One of the menus is going to be districting, district elections. So click on that City Clerk, and then go to District Elections. And click on District Elections. Okay. Again, there's another menu. We could click here, but I happen to want to look and see what the content is here, so I'm just going to scroll down on the page. If you've not seen the video that our city clerk, Don Abrahamson, did, watch it. It helps explain the process and what we're trying to accomplish. And if you're interested in the legal background, why we're here, you can click on legal background and read information about the lawsuit and the council's past decisions. The law requires a series of steps that we go through when we draw these maps. The city has completed roughly half of the process. The city council has not seen any maps yet, and they won't see those maps until May 14th. We intend on having those maps, was that correct date? They will be posted on April 30th. They won't be able to meet to deliberate on the maps until May 14th. So once the maps are posted on here, they'll be under this draft maps category. So watch for the website April 30. All the maps that have been submitted will be posted. One of the wonderful things that I love about this process, because I'm a democracy geek, is that everybody gets to participate at the same level.
Can I ask you what this page, please?
Yes. It's a simply, I'm still on the city clerk page. Okay. Okay. From the home page, cityofvallejo.net, we went to City Hall. And then there was a drop-down menu, and City Clerk was one of those options. And then once we were at City Clerk, the yellow ribbon said City Clerk, and I clicked on that yellow ribbon to give me the menu of what was hidden under that yellow ribbon. And then I clicked on district elections. And from there, I just used the arrow to scroll down the screen. Okay. For today, we're going to go into the Draw a Map Toolkit. So you can find it on your screen, the Draw a Map Toolkit. And then you can just arrow down to look at what is there. So as you'll see, we list what tools are available. The paper map only, that would be your map that has the population unit numbers. You can just draw your borders on this, make sure that we can draw them in a heavy kind of ink or color, or just so we know where your boundaries are. It's a good idea to do the math so that you make sure that your population balanced, because the council cannot legally adopt a map that is not population balanced. So if you want your map considered, and in the discussion for May 14th, we want to get it to be population balanced. And that's at 19,324 per district, and it says there right on the map. Yes. And you want to have the proper number of districts, so make sure you have 6 districts. Okay. And then you can just, you can email this to the city clerk, you can bring it into the city clerk, you can mail it into the city clerk. We just need to have it submitted by April 23rd at 5:15. Okay? Yes, you can submit more than one. Okay, so that would be the paper-only map. Now, the paper maps with the Excel kit are the one I talked about. So after you draw your map, you can reproduce it. For me, I have to reproduce it. I just sketch it out on the population unit one. And then you would use the Excel sheet. So I'm going to scroll down to the explanation about that. There's our paper-only maps. And here's the Excel supplement. I'm going to go ahead and click on the one that says English. In my case, it didn't open automatically, but it showed up at the bottom. I'm going to click on that to open it. You see at the bottom here, there's 3 pages to this Excel spreadsheet. The first page is instructions. So you can read through these instructions. I'm going to be verbally telling you these instructions. So I'm going to click on the next one, which are the assignments. And this is where I'm going to look at my population unit ID numbers. So say we're just going to deal with just 3 of them right now. So population unit number 1, 9, and 15, which are this upper right-hand corner of the city, I'm going to assign that to my District 1. Okay? So population IDs number 1, 9, and 15. So I'm going to find population number 1. That's the unit ID number 1. I'm going to assign it to my District 1. Oops, I'm sorry. There's a little yellow ribbon at the top that says Enable Editing. You're going to need to enable the editing just one time. On the Excel spreadsheet. Maybe you can help. Yeah, if you have the Excel spreadsheet and you go to type into it, Enable Editing will come up. So try to enter in there, and that's when you'll get that message at the top of your spreadsheet that will say Enable Editing. I don't think you see it until you start to type a number. Okay. Then I'm going to find, I decided that numbers, the population units numbered 1, 9, and 15 are going to start to build my District 1. So next to the population unit number 1, I'm going to type the word, I'm going to type the number 1 and enter. Then I'm going to go down to 9. That was this next one. I'm going to put 1 and enter. And then I'm going to go down to 15, 1, and enter. Okay? A common mistake is to accidentally look to your left when you're trying to find a population unit number. Don't look to your left. Those are just row numbers. Make sure you look to the right where it's the population unit number. Okay, let's see how good of a job we're doing at building so far our District 1. So I'm going to click on this third page. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to identify my District 1, which is right here. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. It's going to tell me how well I'm doing on my total population. So far, I only have 3,000 people in there. What's nice is the line right below it tells me how many more people I need. I need to pick up 16,000 more. So I can look at this map and say, let's add 17, 21, 22, and 24. So I'm going to go back to my assignments. I'm going to do 17, 21, 22, 22, and 24. Now we can go back and check and see. We got closer. Now we're only about 7,000 away. So this would be how you would check to see how you're doing as far as total population. The other category I mentioned was citizen voting age population. So these are residents who are 18 years of age. They're not necessarily registered to vote, but they're 18 years of age, so they are citizens of voting age. The reason why this is important is because when a protected class group is looking at their strength in able to influence a district, they'll look at their percentage of the citizen voting age population. So when we go down to this category, I'm just looking at the citizen voting age population, and I'm looking at the Hispanic population. This particular quadrant gives me counts. Over here I have percentages. When you're looking at citizen voting age population, we always look at percentages. And right now it looks like my District 1 is 10% of that district is Hispanic, 22 is white, 14 is black, and 51% is Asian. So that's telling me that I have a very strong Asian district starting so far. And in fact, 51 is a magic number. Because the federal law says if you can build a majority district, then you should. So we've done a good job so far, but what will happen is you'll be careful, don't assume that that number is going to stay at 51. When you continue to build out your district, it could get diluted. So make sure you think, oh, I reached the 51. When you add more, it's possible it could either go up or it could go down. It may not be possible to get a 51% once you get the correct number of population in there. So after you've completed all of your districts, assigned all 6 districts, then you would see how well you're doing as far as total population and as far as citizen voting age population, if that's something that is of interest to you. When you submit, you may just submit this Excel spreadsheet. You don't need to submit an image of your map. We can do it off of the Excel spreadsheet. Make sure, though, that you've done your map, that you've drawn your map, because you want the territory to be contiguous. You can't have a section of your District 1 be in one part and a section of District 1 be in another part. It all has to be within the same set of boundaries. Okay? All right, and I will be here, and if you have individual questions about how that works after, I'll be able to answer questions. And we're going to have question and answer after we talk about the interactive map viewer. I just went back to the website. Yeah, question. Yes. Okay. So if you do not have Excel, then you will not be able to do it from your home computer. Yeah, the library should have computers with Excel. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thanks for asking that question. Yeah. Yes, yeah. You can't do it unless you have Excel. But it's not necessary to have it. You can just do the calculator. Okay, the interactive map. Once you start using this, you're going to find yourself on this map. I just clicked on that link that said interactive map. I realized I did that quickly. So I'm going back on how I got there. It said interactive participation kit supplement. And then it talks about the interactive map. And people who are drawing maps like to use this interactive map when they're drawing their districts, particularly because you can see streets and you know what especially when you get down to the neighborhoods. So the interactive map, I just clicked on it and it opened up for me. The first time you open it up, it's going to give you a little instruction right in the middle, and go ahead and read that. The instruction is helpful. I'm going to close it out right now, but and show you what it says, but when you first open up, you can read it. So right now, when I opened up this map, because I had already opened it, I had clicked on in the upper left-hand corner, the second button over says Layers. I clicked on Layers, which activated my Layers menu. What you're seeing here are some maps that have already been submitted. The way that the maps are organized here is all of the maps that are legal are listed at the top. All of the maps that are not legal, meaning the council could not adopt them in their present form, are listed at the bottom. The beautiful thing about this process is that anyone who submits a map will draw it up. It will be here for people to view. If you've drawn a map and for some reason it's not legal, meaning for some reason you accidentally had non-contiguous borders. So you had District 1 had its main District 1, but they had a little segment that wasn't attached. We would still draw that map, but we would list a notation, and I'll show you, we would say non-contiguous. So that map submitter would have the ability to look at the map, or anyone else who likes the map would look at it and try to figure out how maybe they could fix it and make it contiguous. Also, if someone has submitted a map and it's not population balanced and it exceeds that 10% deviation, we will still draw the map and we list it on here, but we'll make a notation it's not population balanced. I'm going to scroll down and show you. So we have the maps listed at the top. Those are all compliant with the requirements. 601, 603, 606, 611, 612, 612, and we like this when this happens. They just drew one district because they know their particular district. So the submitter said, I don't know the other districts, but I know this one and this is what I'd like. So that's helpful. And if the council really liked that district, then oftentimes what they'll do is say, we like the way they drew this district. Can you fit it into another map and keep that district as it's drawn? Okay. Let me scroll down this arrow so you can see the ones that were submitted. There's a notation, you'll see how all the maps start with a 6? That indicates to us they were drawn with 6 districts in mind. One of the maps was submitted with 5 districts in mind, and so that obviously is not going to be population balanced because we must have 6 districts. But we still drew the map, and as a result, it's not population balanced because it doesn't achieve our populations. 604 had some boundaries that were not contiguous, not balanced. Then some that were not contiguous. 610 is close to being within the deviation, but I think it's at 14% instead of, it can be less than 10% deviation between the least populated and the greatest populated. So we still listed here if council really liked that map or if folks really liked that map. And council could even give us direction at the next public hearing saying, we love this map, can you make tweaks to make it population balanced? And then there was a map that was submitted with 8 districts. And as I recall, the submitters of those maps, they wanted to see the board increased in size and wanted to show what that would look like. But that's not the direction that the council has given us, that we're sticking with the 6 districts. So they're all on here. None of the maps are edited. So rest assured, if you take the time to draw a map, we'll prepare it and bring it up for everyone to see. I wanted to show you, I don't have it. I switched from my computer, I'm sorry. Once we draw the maps, we will draw them up. They will all look the same. They're all done in the same format. Each of the maps will be drawn in a format with color coding for 6 districts. And then on the back, we'll have all the demographic data for that particular map. So it will show the population, it'll show the citizen voting age population, it'll show the number of registered voters for district, voter turnout. It will also show other information such as household income, language spoken at home, all types of information that defines communities of interest. So sometimes that's very interesting. When you draw your districts, you can say, okay, my District 1, I see the majority of people who live in District 1 don't speak English at home. That's a good indicator that you've done a good job at keeping like people together. Our neighborhood, that's one indicator. Sometimes homeowners versus renters, all of that information is on there as well. What we're looking at right now, I'm going to go up and pick one of the maps that is population balanced. Let me unclick this. Well, let's just go with 601. This is a map that was submitted by a resident. The colors indicate the various districts. I don't know if this is okay. The zoom is, you can zoom into different levels. But say I was interested in one particular area. Maybe I want to see where all these districts come together and zoom in and see what this area looks like. So I'm clicking the zoom in button. And you'll see as I get closer, the street names start to show up. Let's recenter this a little bit. As I get closer yet, even more street names show up. So you can see exactly where these lines are drawn. If this map, if I don't like the way the map looks underneath, or if I want to see the satellite image, I'm going to click on the third menu over that says Base Map Gallery, and I'm going to click on the imagery. Then it works very much like Google Maps where you can look at the satellite imagery. And sometimes that's useful as well. I'm going to go back to one of them that says streets. You can just play around and see which view you like the best. Okay? So I wanted to make sure you knew you can change the way it looks, or if you want just very little in your background, just play around and click and see which one you like. That's the base map gallery. I'm going to go back to the layers because I promised you I would show you how to use this in conjunction with drawing your map. So in this case, I'm going to unclick that 601 because that map's already drawn. And if I were drawing a map for the first time, I would bring up population units. This one actually gives me both things in one map. It gives me the population count as well as the unit ID number. Let's scroll and look at our population unit 1 that we first started off with. I'm just moving over. Unfortunately, these numbers are really small, and the numbers themselves don't get bigger. So you're going to have to, sometimes you even need to use a magnifying glass. But there's 1,322 people in this unit number 1. Now, I'm going to show you the difference. That's in the population unit. I'm going to click on the census blocks. And you can see that that population unit, which is kind of the, how's my colors coming out, kind of the reddish lines, are different than the purple lines. The purple lines in this case are our census blocks. And they have numbers in there as well that show you what the population is of each of those census blocks. So if you really didn't like my red outline of the population unit and you'd rather draw your map according to the census blocks, you can do just as I did and activate the census blocks, and it will give you the population count within those census blocks. I'm going to undo the census blocks now. And I'm going to zoom down to a more normal view. I'm going to recenter my map. I'm just clicking and dragging to recenter. Let's activate another map so that you can see what it looks like. This happens to be map 614. It's got the population units activated on it, and it's got the color coding of where these particular districts were drawn. So if you scroll through and you like one of these maps, but you want to just change it slightly, this is a really good tool for you. So if you like 601, activate 601, activate the population units, and if there's one of them you don't like, you can see about moving it into another district. This one happens to be a 0 populated population unit. You can move that into the next one over if you like. If it's populated and you move it, and you know you started with a population balanced, if you move one out, you need to move more people in. Okay? That's the basic explanation for the interactive map viewer. Hopefully you found that was helpful. Once the maps, and you can scroll through and see these maps, and it's helpful in seeing. There's one, the council census blocks gives you an idea of where the council members live. It doesn't have their exact address, but it has, I'm sorry, click census blocks, not council blocks. So if you're wondering where the currently seated council members reside, that doesn't show you exactly where they live, but it shows you what census block they're in. If you notice this one right here, and I'm sorry, I can't read the name. Verda Liga is in a large census block. So you see hers is darker coded. I'll undo 601, you can see.
Go back to that one and show them.
Yes. The census blocks?
Yeah, the one council member list.
Okay.
That one area, just because it's hard to look down.
So presently, the only things I have selected under layers are population unit counts and council blocks. When you look on the map, you'll see the darker colored areas. There's Ducosta, there's Verda, am I saying it correctly, Verda Liga? I may have to zoom in more closely to get a name on this one. There's McConnell. If one is not showing up, you simply have to just zoom in more closely to the map. Yes, they're dark tan. They're indicated with dark tan. Okay. So if that's important to you when you're drawing a map, then you might want to have that one activated. Okay? The names are on there. You may have to zoom in closely for the name to appear. Just like Google Maps, sometimes there's street names that are covering it. So as you zoom in more closely, the names will appear. Now, the nice thing about this is once a map is drawn, I'm going to click on another map here. Once a map is drawn, if you are curious where your home is, you can type in your home address right there. In that blank box that says search, I'm just going to close this out. Right there, if you type in your home address, it will zoom to it and show you which district. For this particular map, I have activated a map 611 at this point. It'll show you where you live. Okay? There are 6 council members and 1 directly elected mayor. The directly elected mayor will remain at large.
How do we get to this page you're on right now?
You get to that page from the website. So on the website, under Draw a Map, first you get to, let's start from the very beginning, okay? From the home page,
Yes.
City Hall, City Clerk, District Elections, Draw a Map. And then scroll down. I have it on the screen up here. You can see that. We don't, but we can. On the city clerk page, there's a yellow banner that says city clerk with an indicator that there's a deeper menu. There's district elections. On the name, yeah. Okay, then just you can just arrow down. Oh, yes. Draw a map. Yes. Okay, now just okay, then just scroll down. We have to click that one. You can do. Okay, so that completes my overview of the map drawing tools. So at this point, we can have question and answers. If you're interested in drawing a map, we can do so, get you started tonight. If you want to use the Excel spreadsheet, you can get started tonight. The thing with the Excel spreadsheet is it's going to stay with this computer. So if you start to build a computer, I don't know if we have the ability to email them their Excel spreadsheet. Okay. Yeah, if you get far enough that you want us to email the Excel spreadsheet, we can do that. Does anyone have any questions? Yes. Okay, right. Okay, so I'll repeat the question because I know they're taping it. So the question was, is it possible to have one district with two council members in a single district. That is, still be considered an at-large system. So the answer is, yes, you could do it, but you would still be subject to a lawsuit under the California Voting Rights Act. So the lawsuit, it would not get us out of the lawsuit.
I'll rephrase it.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the neighborhood association, which we could, in fact, in that district for our association, split the association groups up and have two council representatives. Is there any advantage to doing that? You know,
Okay, so I'm going to repeat the question. Is it possible to take one very big community and divide it so part of it is in one district, part is in the other district? Of course, yes. And are there advantages? I would say it's depending on the community. I know for me, I live in a retirement community, and it's a very large retirement community. I would like to see it split into two different, I don't live in Vallejo. I would like to see it split into two different districts. And the reason why is we're very active. At our clubhouse, we invite the candidates there. We invite the council members there periodically. I would love to have two council members coming to our association meetings. Two council members that know that they have voters that live in our community, and so that we would have a greater voice on the council. So in some cases, yes. Now, where we need to be careful is if it's in a protected class group. And a protected class community is not seniors. For the purposes of the Federal Voting Rights Act, protected class is defined by those whose ability to participate in the electoral process has been abridged, or they've been not able to fully participate in the electoral process, either from a language barrier or for other reasons. So seniors are not a protected class, but we definitely have a strong Latino community, Asian American community, so we would not be able to, in that case, split that community unless there was a strong argument that serves the community and strengthens their voting power. Any other questions? I know it seems frustrating. You actually have an advantage of being able to look at some maps that are drawn. Sometimes that's a good starting point. And just be mindful that you want to have your map considered, so try to hit that target for each of the units. Yes, so the email to submit questions, I can't remember. Okay, so I think it might be on here too. Oh, there we go. The place where you submit the map, you may also submit questions. And it's on the screen right now. Map, and for those who can't see the screen, it's maps@cityofvallejo.net. Okay, yeah.
if I can do this with Excel, will it automatically tell me about the legal, match the
It won't tell you about the protected class. It will tell you the total population. It'll tell you the total population, and that's a good point because it would be difficult for you to know what that magic number is. You know, you could submit a map, and then NDC has submitted 2 of the maps, and we were able to achieve a higher percentage for that protected class. So if that, it may be a case where that protected class is going to advocate for a map that has a higher percentage than your map. So one way that you can look at where the concentration areas are is under, and I'm still on the same page, I'm on the Draw a Map page. But there are some concentration maps that will show you where the different populations are concentrated. So let's bring up the Latino map. The pink colors, the blue, the pink, yellow, and green colors are the highest concentrated areas. And there's a legend over here that tells you that. So when you're drawing your map, you may want to start with drawing a map that keeps that community together. Once the maps are posted, you'll be able to see the demographic percentage of the maps that have been submitted. The maps that are on the interactive map viewer that NDC drew are 14 and 15, I believe. They're the last two. And in that case, we're very mindful of where those communities are. So one of the goals is to not split a Latino community, if it's possible, not to split a Latino community, and not to split an Asian community, if it's possible. And to respect the existing neighborhoods and the natural boundaries, man-made boundaries. There's all types of considerations that go into drawing the maps. So it's not always possible to meet all of the goals, but really just keeping your communities together and your neighborhoods together is going to be your most important driving factor. Any other questions? I'm going to be here if you want help with it, hands-on help with the Excel spreadsheet. If you need a spreadsheet emailed to you, we can do that. If you don't have Excel on your computer, it's not going to work. But we could still we could still send it to you, and if you're able to come to the library or find another computer. All right?
How many districts are there now?
The same. So there are 6 council members and 1 mayor.
And so what was the reason you having to redraw the map?
It's the California Voting Rights Act says that if you have a system that is at large, and if your protected class groups vote as a block, and they vote differently than the majority, and are unable to elect a candidate, then the system is not working. So you need to divide into smaller districts where the protected class group would have greater strength to elect a candidate of their choice. Now, the city chose not to enter into a very expensive lawsuit to challenge. The city does not believe there is racially polarized voting. We have a very diverse council. The city is very integrated. However, the way the law is written, it's very easy for a plaintiff to sue and win. So to cap the expenses at $30,000, the city is voluntarily changing. A lawsuit would be well into the millions. let's see. Oh, I don't have it on here. You know, I don't think we have that demographic on the website, but let me tell you, I have it in my notes. So we're looking at citizen voting age population because that's what they will use in the courts. So for the white population is 32%. The Asian Pacific Islander, including Filipino, is 26%. Hispanic is 17, and Black is 23. However, we do have, it seems that the African American community is more dispersed. But we do have some concentration maps more in the north of the city and along Sonoma and the north side of Solano. It's for African Americans.
Where Hakeem Brown's general neighborhood is. I found all the other.
Okay.
Maybe I'm just going.
Hopefully, it's on there. He was elected, wrong computer here. He was elected after we started to build the project, but he should be on here, and if he's not, we'll correct that. But do you know the general area of Hakeem Brown? Okay, so if you can come up here and show me, and I can zoom in.
Somewhere in this area.
Let me check. If he resides on Tennessee, we may not have it indicated on here. We'll get it on there.
And that'll be on there.
Yes, so it'll be at the same place. We'll bring it up. Yeah, it appears to me that we don't have it highlighted. Well, I'll make sure we get that on there. I may need to get his address. Just email it to me. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, any other questions? So did you understand that question? Yeah, okay. Okay.
And are you able to identify the census of deaf residents in the area?
I don't believe we have that through the census. I can find out. Yeah, I don't believe it's provided through the census. I'll find out. Okay, well, thank you. I hope you submit a map. Yeah, good. Thank you.
And what is this open area right here that
It's unincorporated, so I believe it's county-owned.